I am a collector of Pokemon Fit, or Sitting Cuties, the only Pokemon plush line that has a plush of every single Pokemon. I mean, they even did all 28 unknown. Now with Generation 6 out, yeah, that means I got 10 stinking dogs no one really likes, and 20 differently colored butterflies. It's Vivillon, 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 Vivillon. Vivillon. So, how am I gonna justify spending over $350 on this butterfly? I guess it's time for a Vivian video. Oh yeah, forgive me if I mispronounce its name. I don't know if it's the dyslexia or what, but I've always read it as Vivillon. I'm like adding an extra I in there. For no reason. It's Vivillon. Vivillon! That's what they say in the anime, at least.
Let's do this! Vivillon!
Its colors are vivid, and it's a French butterfly. Vivillon. In this video, I'm going to go over and explain all of Vivillon's patterns, because, as hard to believe as it might be for some of them, there is a real butterfly for all of them. Also in this video, I'm going to introduce you to a cockchafer. That's the real name of a real bug. So why does Vivillon have so many pretty colors? Well, because it's a butterfly, and one in Kalos no less. France, and thus Kalos, have always had themes of fashion and beauty, so the more Pokemon they can add to fit that theme, the better. But there was more to it. X and Y released on the 3DS, which was a region-locked system. So when you first create your X and Y save file, it will make note of the region the 3DS it's plugged into is in. This was incredibly important because that is what would determine which form of Vivillon you can catch in your game. This is the map showcasing that. See, I was limited to the High Plains pattern because of where I live, and the rockin' editor of this video would get the Garden pattern, so there's some encouraged trade. Though this definitely made getting all of them without cheating a hassle. Or really fun, depending on how you feel about such things. Because I mean, like, how many people do you know in Finland? Or the northernmost reaches of Canada? Because that's where the icy snow pattern is. And look, Hokkaido and Iceland are probably the most specific, the only places to get the tundra pattern. Oh, actually, ocean is even more specific. The map shows it as pretty much all the Pacific Islands, but in practice, it's only Hawaii and Réunion, an island owned by France. Was this a hint to Sun and Moon? Things got easier with Pokemon Go, because at least now you could physically travel to different areas with different Vivillons. But even with either game, you could only get 18 out of the 20 of them because 2 of them were event-based. The Pokeball pattern is the rarest Vivillon of them all. It was distributed in Paris to promote a temporary Pokemon Center store opening there, so 1 city for 2 weeks. Though that was only at first. The events spread elsewhere later on, but haven't since 2016. The Fancy pattern, though, it too was originally event-based, given out online to celebrate the global trade system's 100 millionth Pokemon trade. But since then, this is the default Vivillon in Scarlet and Violet no matter where you are physically. And on top of that, Scarlet and Violet made getting most of the Vivillon a breeze, finally! By sending a postcard from Pokemon Go to Scarlet or Violet, you can change the pattern of all wild Vivillon for 24 hours. Neat. I suppose for a lore explanation, the Vivillon were the ones carrying the postcard while they migrated, because, fun fact, the painted lady butterfly has the longest migration of any bug, traveling over 4,000 kilometers from Spain, France, and Italy to the southern reaches of the Sahara every winter. What a Chad move. Get it? Because they moved the... Yeah, you get it. And since a lot of Pokemon are just animal, but with superpowers and more, you can easily say that Vivillon traverses the whole globe and may follow postcard carriers back to Paldea. Maybe they're like carrier pigeons, but giant butterflies. But is that to say that Vivillon is based on the painted lady butterfly? Well, Well, partially yes. I mean, it's also one of the most global, crossing, widely found butterflies on Earth. They are basically everywhere besides Antarctica, Iceland, Greenland, and the Amazon rainforest. So, everywhere that's not too cold for them, and everywhere there's not an overabundance of frogs. And importantly, as a caterpillar, they look like this. It's black or gray with yellow accents and white fuzzies as well, just like Scatterbug, but with a lot more spikes. These are called urticating hairs, which many caterpillars and other bugs use to defend themselves. Spewpa's cocoon even mimics them when attacking. But Pokemon tend to mix elements from many related species, sometimes even many non-related species, and the caterpillar of the Papilio Dardanus fits Scatterbug and Spewpa really well, especially with the big head popping up from the spiky white part. This butterfly does work well as a blank canvas too, being all white with the black tips and even the grayish body like Vivillon. You just have to hit those wings with a crayon and then— oh no! Given the name, Vivillon could be referencing the entire Alright, this joke's getting old. Vivillon could be referencing the entire Papilionidae family. I mean, just switch the P's to V's. Vivillonidae. These butterflies are commonly known as swallowtails, and they come in a wide variety of colors and are also found all over the world too. Some of these colors are even pretty close to how weird and specific seeming some of Vivillon's patterns are. So now, I wonder if there are real swallowtails or even just other butterflies that each of Vivillon's patterns line up decently well with, or if they are all just polar and tundra look like snow because it snows where they're found. Sandstorm? Only in and around the Middle East, you say? Where sandstorms are? Jungle. It's in the world's 3 main jungles because jungle, and jungles are this color jungle. Like, it could be as simple as that, and that's what I figured at first, but trust me, the majority of them are based on real butterflies. So let's go through them right after our sponsor. Whew, it's easy to get lost in all those details, just like it's easy to get lost online, especially when you have several dozen billion tabs open like I do. Well, a few months ago I switched to Opera on my own accord, and now they're sponsoring this video, so let me tell you why I switched. Over the years, I found that my browsing experiences were getting clunkier and more bloated, like egad the RAM munching and slowdown. And well, Opera is made to be as smooth an experience as possible, not only in the visual customization department, like just being able to stream music from your favorite service right there in the browser, no need for a different tab or program, and you can take it and you can put it anywhere you want. And get this, in the same window, you can show 2 tabs at once. Oh yes! The trouble this alone saves me. You can also easily pop out a YouTube video that can hover anywhere you want it to on your screen. So while watching my streams, you can compare Kawadi and Elephant Shrews. And if you're playing background music and then you play a video, it will automatically pause the music for you. So many saved clicks. And if you're like me, a tab madman, then being able to mark important tabs with extra emoji and even manually or automatically create tab islands to condense sets of tabs helps keep everything so much more organized and smooth. Just like their new browser themes, Midsummer and Aurora, beautifully smooth and customizable. So if you're interested in upgrading your browser, there's a link below. And of course, it's completely free. Let's go ahead and start with Jungle actually, which is dark green with brighter green speckles and a brown or brownish bottom. It's like the Paris peacock, a swallowtail that lives in the jungles of southern India and Southeast Asia. Perfect. Icy snow is easy. There are so many all-white butterflies, including this one from the Northwest Territories and Nunavut in Canada. Polar is mainly dark blue with the white bottom, and wouldn't you know it, Alaska is home to the red-spotted purple, which is none of those things. Oh, well it is if you look at the undersides of its wings. Tundra is a much lighter, icy color and could be the Himishizimi, which is found in Hokkaido. Garden is specifically in the British Isles, New Zealand, and Tasmania, and it's very green with some red spots. One British butterfly sort of fits. The brimstone butterfly is the most common butterfly in the region, found in basically every British garden, which is the British term for backyards in general. Let's just pretend those brown spots are red, and there you go. Next is continental, which is a bit all over the place, but it fits the yellow-clouded Colias, or the white-orange tip, both of which are found in China. Elegant is pretty much Japan exclusive, and being that's where the game was made, they of course gotta get their special one. It could very well be based on the Japanese emperor butterfly, or, given the orange bits, the purple sapphire. The meadow pattern is also a special one. It's mainly found in France and Switzerland, bleeding into some of their surroundings too, but considering the game takes place in a French-inspired region, it makes sense that they'd get their own, especially since this mostly relates to the French Empire when it was at its largest. Nice. Now, pink like this exactly is not a real color butterflies come in, despite what marketing and girl marketing and the girl aisle of girl toy stores with girls will tell you. There are no pink butterflies like this. Pink is even rare as a part of a butterfly, let alone the whole thing. I dug through so many photoshopped and color changed images because everybody wants there to be pink butterflies, but alas, or a girl. Thankfully, Pokemon are just as real as pink butterflies, so they can do whatever they want. But the closest France has is the violet copper. But if we remove the geographic restriction and say that moths are close enough to butterflies, there are a few very rare species, like the Polyphemus moth with a rare mutation, a scarlet Mormon with a bad diet, a cinnabar moth in the right lighting, or a mother of pearl viewed from just the right angle. I think you get it now. If you put every single butterfly in the world into one room, they'd all die. But also, there would be very little pink. Moving on, high plains, the western half of North America and central northern Asia. Orange with speckles and a bit of green. So, like the opposite of the Madagascan sunset moth butterfly, which I just wanted to show you because it's beautiful and one of my favorites. There are a lot of semi-fitting butterflies in the area. The monarch, viceroy, painted lady, Mormon metalmark, none of them with green, but all orange with speckles at least. The modern pattern is in the central to southeast United States. It's strikingly red with white and blue. Oh gosh, it's patriotic, huh? It is the South. When you don't have personality, you choose patriotism. I immediately think of the red lacewing, though they are Australian. The European peacock also fits the description, but not the locale. The best the region gets is the red admiral, which sometimes gets this extra blue yellowy brown. But if you break down borders, there is the Calicore Hystopes. Gorgeous. The marine pattern is found around the Mediterranean Sea and Chile. Very blue with white stripes. That sounds like the Mediterranean Southern White Admiral. I totally knew that already. I also know that ocean has no chance of being real. I mean, a butterfly depicting a sunrise over an oceanic horizon with plastic litter in it? Yeah, probably not, but let's see how close we can get. The Western Pygmy Blue. It just put the ocean in the middle instead of the bottom. Sandstorm in the Middle East. And in other news, this Vivillon matches several butterflies in the region. It turns out light brown with spots is a super common colors for butterflies to have here, probably because camouflage. River is all over the place, but it's mainly in Australia and Africa, north and south of the Congo. There's no perfect fit, but the yellow pansy and Table Mountain Beauty do fit the locations and colors well enough, IMO. Savannah gets the bulk of South America and could be based on Brazil's Morpho Absoloni, or Absoloni. I don't know which sounds funnier, but maybe there's a touch of the Asterope Marquis Davisi verso. Sun is found in Central America, southeastern Africa, and that part of Australia nobody lives in. This matches the Phoebus Avellaneda best, like it seriously looks like a fiery sun in a yellow sky. Wow. Monsoon gets everything from India to Okinawa, and it depicts rain falling from storm clouds. And surprisingly, there's a few butterflies in India that can work for this, like the Lamprotera megas, or the Papilio alsamener, and the now default Fancy just depicts a pretty garden with flowers and a pink path. Very cross-stitch style, which is just old-fashioned pixel art, like with strings. While invented in Egypt over 1,500 years ago, the first fabric made specifically for cross-stitch was made in 1890 Germany, so France's neighbor. And with the invention of the printing press a few centuries later, again in Germany, cross-stitch flourished across all of Europe, since you could now print paper patterns for stitching, and these flowers on Fancy Vivillon are your classic tiny cross-stitch flowers. But if we have to link it up to a butterfly, we can't really, because again, pink. But in not being limited to any geographic location, we could say it's inspired by a few butterflies or moths with flowery or green sorts of patterns like all these. Just take the male Grand Duchess, cross-stitch these flowers over the white spots, bleach the middle pink, and there you go. Or hey, these ones are mostly see-through, so if it were on a bush by a tiny pink path, it'd just be adding some purple flowers.
Now wait, what about Pokeball?
What about it? It's a Pokeball. It's not gonna be real.
What about the Diatheria Anna?
The heck? Well, let me pull it up. Oh, wow. But why do you just know? Huh, okay. Well, it definitely fits. This butterfly is even famous for having the numbers 88, 89, or 98 on its wings, and that last number is the year Pokemon came out. Outside of Japan, anyway. But hey, that's the moment the franchise went global. Just like this Pokemon. Were they thinking about that, though? Who's to say? But now, I promised you a cockchafer. So it turns out Scatterbug's name in its original Japanese, Kofukimushi, is a bit of a pun, more so than most Pokemon names are even. You can break it down to the Japanese words for powder-blowing bug, as that's what it is and what it does. It's a bug that scatters its powder all over. But in putting those words together in this way, you also just get the Japanese name for the cockchafer. Kofuki Kogane, which is this handsome lad.
Ooh, I'm gonna chafe you.
Oh no, where? One thing that makes these scarabs unique is that they have all these tiny hairs all over themselves, kinda like Scatterbug and Spewpa, who otherwise are just kind of generic caterpillar worms and pupas, who scatter and spew confetti scales all over the place to protect themselves. But where did that idea come from? Real life! If you've ever handled moths or butterflies, then you know just how fragile they are. One tiny little brush of the wing with your finger, which you aren't supposed to do, and you get a bunch of dust all over your finger, which is... This is a dog. And sometimes that dust just falls right off of their wings as they fly. But that dust is actually made up of tiny scales from their wings shedding. It's the same way humans, a group which includes me, shed about 1.5 pounds of skin cells per year. And these easily flaked off butterfly scales work as a defense mechanism against two of their main predators. First, spiders. Moths and butterflies are known to escape from spider webs because the webs stick to their scales that they then shed, allowing them to escape. And secondly, bats. All those tiny hairs and loosely connected scales turn their bodies into natural sound dampeners, so bats who use echolocation to navigate have a harder time finding them. It's like trying to find that glass of water you left in the lightless basement, but with your ears. Dang it. But get this, Vivillon has a signature move. Powder, aka dust in Japanese. It just spreads its powder all over the target, meaning if the target uses a fire-type move, it damages itself because the powder explodes! What kind of gunpowder are you guys packing? Like, butterflies are flammable, unfortunately, and the bug type is weak to fire, so bug dust would be flammable too. This just seems so extreme. I suppose, growing up in California, I have seen large flakes of ash floating in the wind be compared to moths and butterflies of destruction. They're kind of beautiful in their own way, if only they weren't connected to horrible, horrible wildfires. But I do wonder if that has something to do with it. That's about it for the regional bug of Kalos. Other than it being Pokemon number 666, I suppose.
Ah, yes, the mark of the beast upon this new world order globe-trotting butterfly, this Vivillon. Oh, wait, is that fire? Oh gosh, please keep it away from me. I am highly volatile.
Hey, thanks for watching. Want to learn about Kalos' regional bird? It's got a terrible name. It's Talonflame. Watch its video next, and check out our merch store to support us here or on Patreon. We gotta recoup the cost of these plushies somehow. Please.